Hello viewers and welcome to another exciting episode of your most trusted property show, Property Focus, your window into the world of architecture, building, construction and real estate. Now the Kenyan construction market has enjoyed a strong and steady expansion in the last few years. This trend is expected to continue throughout the next decade and even beyond. On the same note, have you ever thought of how technology has built and changed the construction and real estate industry? Well, we have something for you today. Technology has made construction sites safer and building processes more efficient. It has allowed us to increase productivity, improve collaboration, and tackle more complex engineering projects. In today's show, we have an expert from Boleyn Magic Wall Panel Limited. Experts who's going to be telling us about precast and EPS technology that is being applied in Europe and being implemented here in Kenya. We'll also be joined by an architect who's going to tell us how design has been advanced to understand more on how technology has been used in construction. Jonathan Jackson, the founder and chairman of Lordship Africa, who've used technology in the construction of their new apartments in Nairobi Upper Hill area in just a bit. Now, get comfortable, get kosher, get a cup of tea. You don't want to miss a thing. I'm your host, Peter Ngigi. The ever-growing housing demand requires new building technology for fast delivery and cost saving. Boleyn Magic Wall Panels Limited uses EPS polyester panel with galvanized wire mesh and plastering on both sides for external and internal walls, including flooring and roofing. The introduction of these panels are now a substitute in conventional housing systems, which contribute in cost reduction and meet the market demand for medium and low-cost houses in Africa. Now let's find out from the expert a bit more about this particular material. And now we've got an expert to tell us about this building construction material a bit more. Welcome to Property Focus, Teddy.
Asante sana.
Good, good. Why don't you tell our viewers where you're from and what it is that we are here to discuss about?
My name is Teddy Aran. I'm actually working for Boleyn Magic Wall Panel.
Okay.
It's actually situated in Kitengela, and we deal mostly with real estate and construction, both for precast and EPS technology. This system has been used in Kenya for a while right now, but its main origin has been in Germany. For a decade, it has been used in construction around Germany. Yeah.
Tell us how it fares on in terms of cost, quality, and even time in construction.
For EPS and precast technology has opened up market for real estate in terms of saving cost, making real estate affordable for all Kenyans. That is, when we are looking at construction from the side of costings, we look at labor, we look at time, we look at material costings. All this accumulated into one thing, we are looking at saving a percentage of almost 30 to 50% using this technology.
Wow. So these panels come onto the site already built, already constructed. How does it come to be?
Okay, we have two technologies in construction that are at Boleyn Magic Wall Panel. We have the EPS panels and we have the precast panels. That is, precast is done from the factory, transported to the site, and construction happens. And for EPS, it comes in as a polystyrene material that is transported, very lightweight. On the site, plastering is done and installation. So those are the two products that we have.
So how does this EPS or precast technology fare on compared to traditional means of building material?
It has really helped the Kenyan market to develop widely in terms of real estate. We are looking at saving costs from the factory all the way to the site. In precast, we have columns, we have the beams and the hollow slabs, which are done from the factory and then transported to the site. Okay. So we are looking at cutting costs at a bigger margin. Installation is only done by cranes, so labor cost also comes down. So using precast technology mostly saves times by 50%, thereby saving money revenue. We also have a product called the EPS panel. This panel comes in different formats. We have the wall panel, we have the staircase panel, we have the floor panel, and even the roof panel. All these panels can construct an entire house up to 6 floors and above. Using EPS technology, we are also looking at cutting down cost on labor, looking at cutting cost on time, and also wastage of material. So all these costs combined into one, we are going to save a lot. And on top of that, we are planning to open up a system whereby every Kenyan can be able to own a house at the least amount of around 2 million, whereby you can have your 3-bedroom bungalow house finished and ready to vacate in.
Can then any contractor get to use this material, or somebody has to undergo any training? What then happens?
Okay, for most of the contractors, we have offered them enough knowledge on how to use the EPS panel because they are tricky and they need a lot of supervision. But once a contractor learns on the basics knowledge of using this technology, it's not going to be a big deal for all contractors around Kenya. And in fact, it's the best technology I can advise for any low-cost, affordable housing, which is under the Agenda 4 of our country, Kenya.
Wonderful. So anybody can build, even me, I can just get
You can also build the entire house by yourself.
Is it a rumor, is it a myth that you can actually build a house in one day?
Actually, it's not a rumor. With EPS and precast technology, even in half a day, you can be able to do the entire house.
Well, thank you very much for coming on.
You're most welcome.
There you heard it from Teddy himself about the EPS and precast technology. It only gets more interesting. Now, Lordship Africa has over 6 million square feet in real estate from Czech Republic to Kenya, and we're going to have a chat with the founder and CEO of Lordship Africa to just find out how they've infused technology in their construction processes. Let's go have a chat with him. And welcome to Property Focus, Jonathan.
Thank you, Peter, and welcome to 88 Nairobi Sales Office. This is the sales office we have for what will be the tallest high-end residential building in Africa. It's going to be 44 floors, and we built this beautiful sales office to give an idea of the quality and the standard that will be in that building. So, welcome here.
Thank you, delighted to be here. Right. Tell us about yourself and Lordship Africa.
We're sitting in Upper Hill right now. This is where 88 Nairobi is going to be, in Upper Hill. We have so many office buildings in Upper Hill, and that was one of the reasons why I originally was going to do an office building. And then I said, hold on, you know, you've got all of these offices up here, you've got all of these people working here, and everyone's traveling 3 to 4 hours a day. And I said, you know, what we should be having here is a good quality residential building so that people don't have to travel long distances every day, and they can actually live and work here in Upper Hill. So that's what brought me to the idea to do 88 Nairobi as a high-end residential project. So you've got the World Bank here, you've got all the embassies here, you've got Britam, you've got lots of, you know, big organizations here, you've got all the lawyers, you've got all the doctors here. So with roughly 40,000 people working around here, it's a great catchment, and there's no good quality residential. So this is what's made this particular location excellent for our residential building. And as you know, we're not in the very heart of up here, we're just on the edge of it. So it's in a nice sort of residential area. So it's really, really, really nice. And in technology-wise, we decided not to use we decided that Kenyan standards are really quite old. They haven't been upgraded, though I know the Kenyan authorities are in the process to update the Kenyan codes. But we decided to go for a mixture of American standards and British standards. So we have gone for American standards for the structure, because in Europe we don't have earthquakes, but in America they do. So, and this is a very tall building. I'm going to be living on the top, Peter. So I want to make sure that this is really structurally really sound. So we've designed the whole building to American standards of structure. And from technology, it's an interesting thing I learned, because when we were discussing with all the engineers, is that when you have a high-rise building, I don't know if ever you've noticed in a high-rise building if you've been around the world, but in some buildings you can feel it moving, swaying at the very top. And a building with the wind, pressure and everything, it can move up to 3 meters at the top of the building. Now, most well-designed buildings, you would never know that, you wouldn't feel it. But in some you do, and it's all to do with the structural engineering and the design of the structural engineering. Because what happens is you don't feel it when the wind is pushing it, it's when the wind stops, it bounces back. And that's when you feel it. So the most complicated thing in designing, this is the technology that we've had to integrate into our building, is that when the wind stops, it slowly comes back. so you don't feel it. Otherwise, you get nausea and you're just thinking, whoa, this is feeling unsafe at the top. But it's quite normal for high-rise buildings like that to actually move. And they're designed to move. They must move. So the technology of American standards has really makes this building super safe and super strong. So that's one of the technologies we've done. Another technology we've used is standard for European standards, but is not here in Kenya. It's more to do with fire. And as you can imagine, a high-rise building like this, and I'm living at the top, I want to make sure I escape. Most people die in a building in fire because of smoke, not because of the actual fire itself. It's the smoke that suffocates you. And the way in Europe, and we've followed, and we're going to be the first building here in Kenya that really follows these regulations, is that the corridor is pressurized. So you have a plus high pressure in the corridor. So when you open the door of your apartment, then the fire's in your apartment, the pressure is pushing the smoke back into your room. So it keeps the corridor free of smoke. And then when you get to, we have two staircases at either end of the building, so you can have choice of which staircase you can go to. And then to get into that staircase, you go through a fire lobby. So you have to go open one door, it's pressurized, the door closes behind you. Now it contains it before going into the staircase. So then you open the second door and you've gone through the fire lobby into the staircase. And the staircase is also pressurized. So you know that there's very little chance of smoke getting into the escape staircase. So therefore you can escape from the building. And that's the technology and the understanding that is really required for high-rise buildings. And unfortunately here in Kenya we haven't reached that kind of standard of implementation of international standards, which will come. I mean, we are really pushing the forefront of those new standards, and definitely others will consider it and others will follow. So all my Kenyan colleagues and consultants, they're all learning this, and I mean, a lot of them know it. It is a cost, so it's not cheap to do. So as a developer, you need to consider, am I going to spend this extra money for all of this? And every room in the building has a sprinkler. So every room is sprinkled. And you think about that amount of water that needs to come into the building to be able to sprinkle the building. So you've got the water tanks, you've got the pumping, you've got the fire protections, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Technology all
So,
around to ensure safety.
Safety is really important in a high-rise building, very important.
Well, thank you very much, Jonathan, for coming onto the show.
My pleasure.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. And that was Jonathan telling us about how he's shaping the local Kenyan market, the built environment for that matter, with just technological trends. Now, up next, we've got another built environment technology that I believe, we believe you should know about in just a bit. Stay tuned. Billboard is up next and the material profile thereafter. Stay tuned. And welcome back from the commercial break. As we had promised, we're going to have an architect who's going to tell us how technology has infused into the built environment. And welcome to Property Focus Architect Wachira.
Thank you. Karibu Buni. Karibu Buni. Yes.
Asante sana.
Yeah.
So tell us about technology and how it's shaping the built environment industry today.
Technology is shaping it in different ways, and I'll break it in three ways. One is in terms of design. So it's completely changed how design was done, even from the time we were in school. So before we used to draw by hand, that has all changed, now it's computers, but now computers have now even taken it like a notch higher. So now it's not just designing on one software. Now you're designing across one software that combines different professionals. So the architect is able to collaborate with engineers, with the QS. You're all on one platform. So this is what we call BIM, which is Building Information Management. And basically, all the information is now real. If, for example, you're designing and you remove a window, it updates the bills of quantity. Everything is updated. If it's a toilet is removed, the pipework for the toilet is automatically deleted, stuff like that. So it's now just within the software itself, you're able to have as much information, including the costs of each thing. So everything, there's less guesswork now because of technology. So the softwares have really changed in terms of BIM. But also in terms of design, it's also how we present. Before, we just give you like a blueprint and say, this is your house, like it. And sometimes even understanding became very hard. But now over time, we've been, that has changed. Now we're giving guys like 3Ds, animation, and it's now moving, a step, ahead where guys now are doing 3D printed models where someone is able to appreciate the 3D of our house or of construction. We are now getting to virtual reality where you now immerse yourself into the space. And even for a simple project, the client is really able to appreciate this. Okay, this is exactly how it will be. I understand it now. Before, it was dependent on you being able to understand a blueprint, which not everyone was able to do. So that was just in terms of design. But now there's an aspect of also execution, how buildings are built. So that has also changed. Before, even in terms of technology, everything was very restricted. What was done before is what was, kept being repeated. But now you're having some components of the building that are 3D printed, laser cut. That is changing a lot. How we are monitoring the site, how we're inspecting. Before, even something as simple as checking if a wall is plumb, you have to use the plumb bob. Right now everything is just laser. You come, you check, everything is right. If it's not, it's absolutely clear. We're using drones now to look at our building from the outside. To access spaces that were previously very hard to access during construction. So that has really changed. But the last aspect in terms of the built environment is also now the use. Once the house has been built, how people are using it has changed. Now you're having smart buildings where from your phone you can operate the temperature, you can start the AC, you can close the curtains and stuff like that. So that has also changed in terms of how building being executed. Security has been completely automated. The cameras, everything, you can look at your house on your phone. So technology is changing, and it's changing rapidly. Yeah.
In terms of different alternative types, what are some of the technologies that are being used in the built environment today?
There are those that are mainstream. There are those that are trying to come in. So like there are some that have been there for a while, like the expanded polystyrene system, which is the EPS, which gives the advantage of a significantly lighter and faster construction. It has its advantages and disadvantages, but generally it really helps in terms of mass production and you're able to achieve a lot with a little. You have different types of just surfaces. Before everything was either wood, now you're using a lot of, there's something called glue lam, which is glue laminated wood. So it's just basically layers of wood pressed together, bent. Now you're able to achieve different structures. You have pre-stressed and post-stressed concrete. So now the spans you're trying to achieve before, now you're able to achieve much bigger spans with much less concrete. So there are all these technologies that are coming up in terms of the built environment. So it just depends on your imagination. Yeah. So whatever you're able to imagine, then now technology revolves around that. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Because of these technological trends, how do you see the profession in a couple of years to come?
Someone who said you really can't forecast technology because anyone who tries, technology just kind of goes ahead of them. Because when you look, there's so many things that are coming up. Before they felt like science fiction, but now they're coming, they're being done. Now we're having, roof profiles that have incorporated solar panels, such that it's a mabati roof, but it's a solar panel. You're able to generate electricity as you have now kinetic paving blocks. So it's a paving, it's where you're parking, but it also generates energy. You're having self-healing concrete, such that if a crack forms, it heals itself. There are all these new things that almost sound like science fiction, but they are now being done. They're being done. The project we did where we had post-stressed concrete. So it's concrete you cast, and then you have a hydraulic press that stretches out the rebars within the concrete. And by doing that, a span that was before unachievable, you're able to achieve it with very little concrete. So all these things are now being done, and a lot is happening. So it's hard to tell where it will be, but it will definitely move very fast. It's moving very fast, yeah. Yeah.
Parting shots?
I think I'd say the future is for the ambitious. It's for those who embrace change. It's for those who embrace new technologies, and they will be rewarded for it. So the only thing that is constant is change. So for me, it's just whether you're a client, whether you're a professional, like just keep, giving this new technology, trying it out, seeing how it comes, and only good things can happen.
Brilliant. Thanks for coming onto the show. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And there you have it. For those who embrace technology shall be rewarded. Only on Property Focus. Now, if you're looking to advertise your property with us, reach out to us on Facebook on Property Focus and on Instagram on Property_Focus. And we'll be more than happy to have your property on the show. It's been most delightful. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks to all the guests that made this possible. I've been your host, Peter Ngigi.